Then over here on your phone, you're being rebooted or booted into the recovery. And from what I've read and understand now, is when you boot into recovery using the fastboot command via command prompt, once you're at this stage in the game, you've already moved this. We've already moved the zip file. You can install the zip file of your ROM. And wow, that green is horrible. Okay, then you choose. Might as well do a wipe of the Dalvik and cache. Okay, and then you flash the zips up there. It might be a little different on each recovery that you have. You flash the zips now. And it's basically unzipping itself from within the recovery at that point. And what I've finally read is that if you boot into recovery, like I was saying here, if you boot into recovery here via the command, then the zip file containing the ROM and the kernel will be done at the same time. And what people are doing now is they'll download Flash Image GUI by joeykrim from the market, download the ROMs to their phone directly. You'll have to unzip. Actually, you can do custom kernels now with the Flash Image GUI. So if you have a kernel such as Chad Goodman's kernels that'll work for your phone, you can flash the kernel and then go into your recovery by volume down in power on the phone, and then flash your ROM. You can flash your ROM and then flash the kernel via joeykrim's Flash Image GUI, and it still should work. As you can see, the phone here is still working on extracting the zip and preparing itself for high levels of swag. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. And there is a scroll bar down here, and depending on the ROM you're flashing, sometimes it will show progress, sometimes it won't show progress until you've actually it's actually gone through the whole steps. So as you can see, it just says install from SD card complete. So at that point we are supposedly good to go. Let's reboot the system. And if we see anything else other than that splash screen, and we've met this with great success. Let me unplug here because that's just bothering the crap out of me. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to load these quickly. I didn't realize it was going to take so long per video. This one taking quite a while. Look at that. Look at that. We've got success booting up. This is the first boot, so it'll probably take longer than normal. I'm going to keep the video going because I want to see the kernel. I'm not sure what kernel Swag is using on his phone. If it's a stock kernel, then we really won't be able to tell whether or not the kernel changed. If it's not a stock kernel, then at that point we know. But most of these custom ROMs don't have a stock kernel usually. So booting into recovery allows you to flash the ROM and kernel simultaneously, and doing the flash of the recovery partition via fastboot space flash space recovery space, then the recovery name actually flashes the recovery onto your phone, so you have the custom recovery always. I didn't mention that part on the tutorial because we're just trying to get into recovery, into the habit of getting into the recovery, so that you can flash the ROM and kernel simultaneously. So whenever you download a ROM onto your computer and you want to load it onto your phone, you would of course do your Android backup or whatever, then boot into the recovery via fastboot space boot space, then the name of your recovery.img. That would boot you into your recovery. At that point, you would push your file, your zip file of your ROM onto the phone, and then flash that zip, which supposedly flashes the kernel and flashes the ROM simultaneously. The way I was mentioning, you pull the boot image out of the ROM and push that first, and then flash the zip. And that's only when you push just the boot image and then boot into recovery and flash the phone itself. And here we are on our new unlocked phone using swag. That's nice. Well, I'm going to skip that because this phone's not even on the network right now. Menu, settings, about phone, software. 2.3.3, there is the kernel, and there's the build number, swag.stock19.08, swag on 4.54651.1. So it looks like the kernel did change when you booted into the recovery via fastboot. And then once you've booted into recovery via fastboot, that's what opens up the ability to flash your ROM kernel combination simultaneously. Outside of that, you should still be able to flash a custom kernel via that method as well, by way of going to your fastboot command, booting your recovery. Once you boot your recovery, it'll allow you access to the security partition, the S-on partition, so you can flash whatever kernel. So you just get the kernel zip you want. You boot into recovery via fastboot command. You toggle storage, move the kernel you want over, and then flash that zip of that kernel. And when you boot into recovery, like I said, it gives you access to the security or S-on partition of the phone, and you'll be good to go. Hopefully this clarifies some things as far as that is concerned. And like I said, you always have options like joeykrim's flash image GUI to flash kernels separately via the actual application from within the phone, because that's when you actually have access, is when booting into recovery via fastboot, and then from the actual OS is when you have access to the security access to the phone. So I hope this video helped out a little bit and clarified some things, including the previous video showing you the dev website and unlocking procedure. Thanks.